put out 2 videos recently. One were about gaming chat, moderation and banter. Other about Microsoft, government overreach and corporations slowly removing your ability to choose. And like clockwork, comment section delivered Twonks. 2 absolute amusing specimens showed up, both confidently wrong, both hilariously unaware of it, and both desperately in need of a badge. And I'm going to warn you now, before we get into these Twonks, I'm going to get pretty political in this video. I know that's not my usual thing, at least to extent I will be today, so feel free to skip this video if you must. I won't blame you, but don't say you weren't warned beforehand. Alright, you lot. Let's start with first contestant, TyrannyFreeGovernance. This Twonk has 65 subscribers, and I want you to hold that number in your head, because it becomes funnier as we go. Now, his entire channel is shorts, but none of them original content or proper analysis. Just shorts responding to other people's videos with a line or two calling original creators corrupt or indoctrinated, and other left-wing shouty bollocks. That's it, really. That's all he does. And he's not even consistent with it. So this intellectual titan watches my video about Microsoft locking out security developers, government age verification, creating honeypot databases, and corporations like Ubisoft ignoring the customers completely. I talked about how everything is the same grind, and that it's up to regular folk and gamers to show these governments and corporation suits who they work for. It were a fully sourced breakdown with every claim backed by links in the description. And his response is, "This is all gibberish political slop. Stop leaving people terrified or furious and start actually fixing government." This from a bloke who makes shorts responding to other people's work, encouraging more fear and fury. That's like a bloke who lives on microwave ready meals while critiquing Gordon Ramsay's knife technique. And it were obvious from that part alone that he hadn't watched video. If he had, he would have heard my solutions for fixing issues by showing these people they work for us, because we paid their wages. Make no mistake about it. It don't matter if it's corner shop community 8 or most powerful person on planet. Without our support, they are not. But here's where it gets really twonkish. His grand solution to government corruption is body cams on politicians for transparency and powerful autonomous grand juries for accountability, which I'll admit kinda sounds reasonable on surface, doesn't it? Except in video I talked about how every layer of institutional oversight creates new vulnerabilities, new attack surfaces, and new opportunities for corruption. Microsoft's security process broke actual security. Government's child safety system creates bigger risks for children and people in general. And his answer to that pattern is more infrastructure, more equipment, more monitors, more officials, more processes that can be corrupted by more corrupted people overseeing more corrupted systems. I pointed this out. I told him his solution cost money that, as we all full well know, taxpayers will end up funding. It creates equipment that can be tampered with, requires monitors who can be corrupted, overseen by officials who answer to the same broken system he's claiming to fix, and solves absolutely fuck all. I told him my solution is telling people to wake up and say, enough is enough. It costs naught, completely free of charge. Can't be tampered with because it's not a system, it's people. He called me a British pleb and a fist-waving goof, because when you can't argue facts, argue insults. Classic left-wing tactic. And then after I dismantled his entire position with his own logic, after I showed him that his anti-corruption solution is just more corruptible architecture, his final retort was, "I can clearly tell you are not fully developed." That's all this Twonk had left. Here we have a bloke with 65 subscribers, no original content, and a solution to corruption that creates more corruption, telling me I'm not fully developed. From a channel called TyrannyFreeGovernance that advocates for more government infrastructure. And he didn't even have common decency to write it in full English. Instead, I got a "you are" like he forgot he's an adult, despite all my responses being in proper English. Let that irony wash over you like a warm bath of stupidity. And look, I want to be clear here. I'm not having a go at him for having a small channel. Everyone starts somewhere. I started somewhere. But if you're going to rock up on someone else's video, call their sourced, verified work gibberish political slop without watching past first 10 seconds, propose a solution that contradicts your own channel name, and then resort to personal insults when you get fact-checked, you better have something more substantial behind you than a handful of reaction shorts and a persecution complex. So it is with great honour and absolute zero respect that I present Tyranny-Free Governance with Scotty McGaming Twonk Chronicles merit badge for services to accidentally proving someone else's argument whilst trying to dismantle it, for proposing anti-corruption measures that are inherently corruptible, for calling a sourced analysis gibberish from a platform built entirely on baseless reactions, and for retreating into personal insults when logic failed. Tyranny-Free Governance, you are hereby awarded rank a corrupted anti-corruption architect. Your GoPro governance strategy has been filed under solutions that are worse than problems. Now, if you thought that were good, I hope you're ready, because our second contestant is on a completely different level. Please welcome just another comment 416, and credit where it's due, this one actually came in with a coherent thesis. This one were on my video about Banter is Dead, which was sparked by my mate Firkinell, and it were an analysis of moderation in current gaming. I also covered censorship of certain words and how allowing them to be only spoken by certain demographics is exactly reason such words have power. His opening comment were articulate, structured, and made a clear philosophical argument. He said, hate speech don't exist. There is only speech one likes and speech one doesn't. And you either support freedom of speech or you don't. Black and white. No middle ground. I can respect someone opening with a position, even if I don't entirely agree, because at least we've got something to work with. So I engaged. Properly. Told him I agree and disagree. Yeah, it's kind of subjective, but hate speech does exist in context of how it's directed at a specific person or demographic. Gave him my position clearly. It's fine to have an opinion. Just don't be a dick about it. There's a line. Always has been. All beyond that is pure hate. Reasonable, right? He doubled down. Brought up abolitionists. Compared hate speech laws to opposing human rights. Told me freedom of speech exists to say things people don't want to hear. It's still coherent. Arguable. Someone I can have a conversation with. Even if we're miles apart. So I gave him a real-world example, and I told him how I'm a complete dick about illegal migrants and what they get away with. But I focused that anger at government, not at migrants themselves. Because I met some who are genuinely nice people trying to find a better life. That's the difference between opinion and directed hate. I even gave him an analogy saying it's like coming home after work, stripping off, grabbing a beer, slouching in front at telly. But you keep your underwear on in case kids are around, because that line exists. Did he engage with it? Did he address my migrant example? Did he acknowledge my underwear analogy that perfectly illustrated that we all instinctively know where lines are? No. Instead, he repeated his thesis a third time, and it were almost word for fucking word. Either one supports human rights or one doesn't. Like a philosophical screensaver with a British accent. Same loop and output, no new data accepted. And then he recommended some reading material. 1984, Brave New World, Animal Farm. All legitimate classics about authoritarianism and social control. I have all of them on my shelf, by the way, as well as Fahrenheit 451. But then, casually, like he were recommending a cookbook, he dropped Turner Diaries into that list. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what Turner Diaries is, and I genuinely would never recommend it, but let me educate you a little on context. It's a novel written by William Luther Pierce under a pseudonym. Pierce was leader at National Alliance, a neo-Nazi organisation. It's a fictional account of a violent racial revolution that ends in global genocide, and it's not subtle about it. It's a fantasy about exterminating non-white people. It's not just some obscure piece of fringe literature. Timothy McVeigh had pages of it on him when he were arrested for Oklahoma City bombings in 1995, where 168 people were killed, 19 of them children. See, that book directly inspired that attack, and there's a reason it's referred to by law enforcement and academics alike as Bible of white nationalist movements. And this bloke just slid it in alongside Orwell and Huxley like it belongs on the same shelf. You should read these. You'll have a much more worldly perspective, he says. A worldly perspective from a white supremacist recruitment pamphlet that inspired mass murder of children. So I called it out. I told him you can't stick neo-Nazi propaganda alongside Orwell and Huxley, and that he may as well be recommending Mein Kampf or Catcher in Rye. I can't take him seriously after that recommendation. That's when he pivoted. He told me it's possible to hold opposing views to understand concepts, comparing it to schools teaching about slavery. Said my objection to his recommendation explains my position in its entirety. He even claimed such books were once mandatory school reading, which is an inaccurate claim in itself. Turner Diaries and Catcher in Rye were never mandatory reading, and I'm sure we all know Mein Kampf were never even considered as such, and for good reason. Now yeah, Animal Farm, 1984 and Brave New World, they're still very much included in a lot of schools, not just in the United States, but here in the UK too. And even though they're not mandatory reading, they still provide a staple in education establishment, because they're not filled with extremist views and propaganda. In fact, throw Fahrenheit 451 into that list, because it really is another good read that don't cross that extremist line. And then came his magnum opus. He launched into full-blown Oklahoma City conspiracy theories. Told me there were actually 3 explosives and only one went off, that one was locked behind an FBI keycard. Our destruction of that building destroyed evidence against Clintons, and that McVeigh's background is confirmed to not be as offered publicly. All stated as fact, mind, without any sources, links or evidence, just verified as reality according to his own authority. He'd make a great politician. Now don't get me wrong here, I'm a sucker for a good conspiracy theory. I'm a massive supporter of channels like Y-Files. Echofish is hilarious. And AJ presents a proper production. What Lurks Beneath, Top 5 Unknowns, many more. Hell, I once sat through a 9-hour lecture where a guy sat behind a desk talking about alien cover-ups, Roswell crash, and other stuff. And he had no visual evidence. It literally was just one guy sat at a desk. That's it. That's how invested I can get in that shit. I'm a massive conspiracy theory nut. But you know what? There's a line. And it's drawn between conspiracy theory and facts of reality. Was JFK assassinated by government? Yeah, of course he was. He was getting too popular and promised to reveal secrets shadow government didn't want getting out there. But moon landings faked? Yeah, that's why we still know fuck all about it. They had to stop going because filming budget ran out. They needed studio for other sci-fi movies. I've even heard theories surrounding OKC bombing, and honestly, they're all so wide and deep in it, you have to be a fool to believe them. But I laughed at his parting shot. I sincerely hope you turn the page and come to support human rights. A bloke who casually recommends neo-Nazi literature, pivots into OKC conspiracy theories when challenged, and condescendingly tells me he hopes I'll turn the page. And here's comedy about lecturing me on this shit. I'm a guy whose political affiliations lean towards leaving ECHR, European Court for Human Rights. In fact, Restore Britain wants to make Britain a Christian country again, and I'm half Irish. I am literally a walking argument against every form of demographic-based discrimination simultaneously. I'm too right-wing for left, too ethnically complicated for far-right, too pragmatic for absolutists, too honest for anyone who wants me to pick a neat box and stay in it. I can't be pigeonholed. I'm a bisexual conservative with Jewish, Polish and Irish blood who runs Linux, argues for free speech we align, and calls out twonks regardless of which direction they're coming from. You can't build a straw man of me because I don't fit any of your fucking templates. And honestly, you couldn't write this. Genuinely. For every word of that exchange is sat in my comment section right now for anyone to verify. His whole journey from I'm a reasonable free speech philosopher to read this white supremacist novel and also FBI did Oklahoma City happened across maybe 6 comments. That's a speedrun down radicalisation pipeline. So it's my honour, and with a deep sense of I fucking told you so, that I present just another comment 416 with a Scotty McGaming Twonk Chronicles merit badge. For services to accidentally proving that lines do matter by spectacularly crossing every single one of them. For recommending neo-Nazi literature as casual reading alongside literary classics. For retreating into conspiracy theories when his reading list got questioned. For lecturing a man whose grandfather survived concentration camps about supporting human rights. And for demonstrating in real time exactly why free speech absolutism without a line eventually leads to defending things no decent person should defend. Just another comment 416. You are hereby awarded rank a neo-Nazi apologist with a paranoid conspiracy theorist complex. Turner Diaries belongs on a different shelf, mate. Preferably one in an evidence locker. Wear this award with pride. So we got one Twonk who couldn't build a solution that don't contradict itself, and other couldn't maintain a philosophical position for 6 comments without accidentally revealing his actual reading list. Both showed up on my videos thinking they had something smart to say. Both got a merit badge they didn't ask for. Now let me be clear here, so you understand the difference too. You are entitled to your opinion. You can be a complete and utter dick about that opinion. You're free to express that opinion because it's your right and free will to be able to do just that. It may be uncomfortable for people to hear, but they'll just have to live with that. For example, I am of opinion that I don't like migrants coming into this country, being treated better than our citizens, and not being held to account for their actions as a regular, white, British citizen would. But I'm not focusing that opinion directly towards people themselves. Like I said, I've met some of them, and they're genuinely nice people looking for a better life. I don't judge them for actions or others from their country. I don't attack them or harm them in retaliation for actions of their people. I have right to say how I feel about what is going on in my country. I have right to focus anger caused towards our government who are not doing right thing to solve issue. I voice my opinions on a daily basis. I'm a complete dick about it at all times. And I'm sure a lot of people find it uncomfortable to hear. That's freedom of speech. It's what we all enjoy in the Western world. However, when you cross that line, directing that opinion into an attack on those demographics, or being malicious towards them in any way, even if it's just straight up calling them a slur to the face, that is hate speech, and you don't have right for that. Oh, and if you haven't read 1984, Animal Farm, Brave New World, or Fahrenheit 451, you should pick up a copy. All of them are a good read, or there's movie and TV adaptations. I strongly recommend books over those options, but still, basic message is within those scenes. In fact, I ain't seen 2018 version of Fahrenheit 451. I'm going to watch it tonight. If you got a comment that deserves Twonk Chronicles treatment, you know where to find me. Nominations are always open, and as you can see, I got badges to spare. If you like this video, YouTube says you'll like this and next, so go check that out, and I'll see you there, you magnificent.